All right, so now let's get to some movie stuff, right? So we have two docs and one narrative feature, right? So
Sure.
these two docs in particular, Ricardo, you do the first. That will be Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain.
Right.
I will do Val, which is a
Sure.
documentary on Val Kilmer, and I will close things off with the newest Netflix film to feature our boy John David Washington, Beckett. So
Right.
yeah, Ricardo, take it away, Roadrunner.
Yeah, so this is it's not a long review about Roadrunner itself, but it's something about this film I want to talk about in particular. But so yeah, it's about the late Anthony Bourdain. I was a big fan of this dude. I loved his show on CNN, with his wife, with his father. Oh God, it's slipping my mind right now. Part Unknown. Um, yeah, great show. It had a lot of great episodes. The one with Barack Obama is really damn good. It had one in Atlanta strip club that I loved as well. He does have a lot of great episodes. He's a famous world famous chef, and he goes on to just become just this exploratory, slice of life guy, and it ended up just being these great series of documentaries. As a series throughout the show, he did an episode of Trinidad. In fact, that was one of his last episodes. And then, well, the very sad and unfortunate news of his passing, he committed suicide. There's a whole thing about that, and it's the documentary focuses on that aspect of it where you're not sure, all the people didn't see it coming. It's like legitimately sad how they frame everything, and it's very existential. That's why it works. This documentary is very existential and strange. But here's so I'm not gonna really talk about the documentary so much, but here's the part that we're gonna talk about. This documentary, the director made a very fascinating and strange creative choice. It actually puts audio that he never actually said in the story because he never actually said it, but he wrote it using artificial intelligence.
Okay, okay.
And
Huh.
now that was like a real weird thing because people like that, and as far as I know, Bourdain's family didn't know that he was going to do that. So here's the thing: Bourdain actually wrote these words, but he never actually spoke these words. But the director decided to put that as part of it, as part of the audio, as if Bourdain spoke it. So basically, they just did this voice thing, and it brings up this really interesting argument about, well, should we do this? Is this crossing the line in terms of taste? Is this disrespecting the dead? And so on and so forth. That is where this documentary got super fascinating to me. Again, I was a big fan of the Bourdain. The documentary is very existential in talking about, well, slice life and suicide and these kind of things and whatnot. But like that didn't hold me as much as it in terms of actual documentary. Like if you just watched it on that surface, it's solid. I give it quick rating. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Right? It doesn't do anything that surprising with it. It's just if you're a big fan of the guy, it does a good job of telling his life, telling how he used to think about the world, how open he was in life, and his suicide was so shocking to many because I thought he was one of those guys that was just so stoic about the world that he would never do something like that, or at least well, I mean, it's kind of a stereotype that suicide is done by despair, but like you was wondering if the guy's life was if he was really depressed or it was in despair or something like that. I'm not sure. They get into some of that. They talk about it a good bit. They have good sections about it, talking about it. It does respect the material and respect the subject matter. But it wasn't like that compelling or gripping to me personally. But when I found out the little behind the scenes about this, where artificial intelligence was used to structure some of the film, that brought up a really fascinating argument about where a lot of this is going to go. If anybody remember the movie Simone, right? Um, or oh gosh, it about Glenn. I think it's a Glenn Close film about actors who being utilized after they're dead, and we started to see this technology actually play out. They wanted to make a movie about Dean Kane, sorry, not Dean Kane, James Dean, and if you could use dead actors or if you could use dead people. A lot of people actually thought that the late Chadwick Boseman was voiced by AI, which is not true. He voiced the stuff before he died, and so on and so forth. That's where this was interesting, and I really want to see where it's going to go in terms of the actual aspect of it. In terms of the actual documentary, yeah, 7 out of 10. It's good, but it kind of plays the beats. It just his story, his life, and then how he thought about the world, and then how how eclectic and irreverent he was as a figure, right? He was an iconoclast. Let's just be clear about that. And he was a great guy, and in many ways, I really like this dude. I love the show, and that's about it. Nothing else much to say other than that. 7 out of 10, but hearing that as how it's produced is genuinely fascinating and strange to me. So yeah, 7 out of 10.
All right. Well, now I actually want to see that show, that documentary
Yeah,
for myself.
yeah, right.
Admittedly, I wasn't. I hardly used to check out Parts Unknown. I was aware of it, but just never really like got around to like sitting through a full season.
Right.
But I was aware of who he was and his works and all that kind of stuff and his influence, and yeah, of course, his suicide and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, no, I kind of want to see the show for myself, right? And just now realizing that it's directed by Morgan Neville. So, he did Won't You Be My Neighbor from
Right.
2018,
Yes.
so yeah, I really curious, well, really, really want to see what this is about. But the whole AI inclusion now, I wonder if it's like, because remember you have to think about, his family and, whether you get the
Yeah.
rights to do this, right? So that really kind of opens things up there. I would
No,
think
that
he just kind
that
of do it because, well, we needed a way for to add meaning to, his life or whatnot. Like it has to be something deeper than that.
no, but that was the thing. Like a lot of people don't know if the family was like filled in exactly what was going on, and that brings in like some interesting legal precedents, not only in terms of the industry and what we're gonna do, but just like the future of this stuff. Could they effectively deep fake him, but it wasn't a deep fake in the sense that we think about it, and that is the weird part about the whole thing, now. Um, so that was just weird to me, Jared. And it was so strange and cool to watch, now.
Right, right,
Yes.
right.
So that is about it.
Okay, well, you've piqued my interest. You've certainly piqued my interest. So I'll give it a look. I'll give it a look. All right, but one that I do recommend you check out though is Val, right? I was aware of this documentary ever since the trailer hit. This is from E24, so this is my second E24 fixer I've gotten for the year. First one being Zola, and it's also released through Amazon Prime Video, right? So that's
Right.
how I was able to check it out, right? So in a nutshell, it is about the life and career of Val Kilmer, right?
Right.
From when he started off in the 80s to where he is at now, right? So how this film is designed now is that for one thing, his son actually narrates this whole thing. Jack Kilmer actually narrates the whole thing, right?
Right.
Um, and I assume that his father wrote the script, and because you literally see Jack in a studio just like reading the lines, right? So yeah, you could easily assume that Val was the one who wrote the script, and son just read everything, right? But yeah, also too, it takes just hours and hours of footage that Val himself shot. He had this saying that like even way back before his career even began, he started off, just with home videos and stuff like that. Now. So when he moved from his home to study acting and all that kind of stuff, he used to record himself. Like I used to have a camera about, right? And for a majority, I should say, like every one of his films actually, he just used to film himself, right? So yeah, the film itself is made of these this footage basically, right? That's been being compiled for years and years and years, right? What the show also does too, because ever so often it's not just Jack narrating. Ever so often they will cut to, well, current Val, who right now, I mean, for those who don't know, he suffered from throat cancer. He's healed from it actually, but the side effect is that his vocal cords were severely damaged, right? So yeah, so he has to kind of talk with sort of like a device on his neck, basically, right? On his throat, sorry, basically, right? So yeah, and it's just cutting back to him, and just really what the show does is just kind of show how his not just how his career has evolved, right, and devolved actually, but just really showing, just kind of revealing the other side of being a celebrity that people don't see, right? What happens when after this rise of popularity? What happens next? When they become irrelevant? When they go to shows and people stop by and they have to do autographs? How they feel about doing that, right? And in the case with Val now is the feeling of, yeah, you know what I mean? Like people just kind of love me for the films I did in the past, right? Like
Right.
Top Gun and
Yeah.
Tombstone and
Yeah.
Batman Forever. But like I'm just like, yeah, like how I could describe it basically, right? Because there's a few scenes that actually like really express it in this profound way. A majority of which involve autographs, right? One in particular I'll get into a bit, right? But it's the idea that all right, actually I will get to one of the interview scenes, right? I'll sorry, the autograph scenes, right? So there's a really powerful and just heart wrenching moment actually involving him at a Comic Con and him doing
Right.
autographs, right? And everyone's coming in and they're saying they're coming with these Batman Forever posters and pictures and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's the idea that, you know, this is a character that I played back in '95. Like I legit didn't even want to play Batman again. You know what I mean? And he actually explains why, right? But it's like you're just putting this character that I did years ago on this pedestal, Trent. But you see
Yes.
how I'm looking right now. You see how old I look. You see how I'm talking and how I'm moving right now, Dre. Like, why are we reliving the past, basically? That's the best way I could describe it. But that's kind of part of the territory. But you could tell that he's not a fan of that. There's another moment where there's like this outdoor screening of Tombstone, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Val! Oh my God, Val!" He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even stick around for the actual screening. He just kind of goes in the back and just waits, right? Because
Right.
it's like all these people just kind of praise him because of shit that he did years ago. But like, what about now? Like, what about what
Right.
he went through, right? And that's what the show really touches on. That for me, though, it just hit me in such a way I did not expect to. Because I just get this out of the way. I am not the biggest fan of Val Kilmer. I have not actually
Yeah.
seen all of his films. I haven't seen Top Secret. I haven't seen Real Genius. I haven't even seen Willow. I mean,
Right.
I know. I
I
haven't
know.
even seen
Yeah.
The Doors.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
there's
I'm
so much
about
shows I
to.
haven't seen, right? But I've
Yeah.
seen the Batman Forever's, the
Right.
Heats, stuff like that.
No, yeah, I'm a big fan of his early stuff. Like his very, very early stuff. Like again, Top Secret is a classic in my opinion. I love one of my favorite comedies.
Well, I
Um,
saw clips of it though. Like, I need
yeah,
to jump on that shit like as soon as, but that looks funny as hell. Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, it was really funny. It's basically on the same level as Airplane. It was the same guys. I forget the name. What do you call them?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh gosh,
yeah,
Zuckers, the
Zuckers,
Abraham
right?
and
Zuckers.
Zuckers, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
these are right. It's a Zucker. It's a great bits. A lot of great jokes in it. And then yeah, I love what do you call it? Real Genius. Real Genius is a great movie. Um, legit love that movie as well. I forgot he was in that. I was like, oh yeah, right. Um,
yeah.
but
And
yeah,
also the show like this just drop these movies like, oh yeah, you with this?
yeah,
Like I forgot about the Doors. I forgot
he
about
did.
what?
Did he,
I
did
forgot
he
about
do?
the Saint. They actually mentioned the
Right, that's
Saint
what I
too.
was gonna
Like
mention. That
what?
was what I was gonna mention.
I
Did he do
forgot
the
about
same?
that. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they say no school. Yeah, Val Kilmer was pretty good in his days. Like it's kind of weird that he never really like after Batman he never really blow up or do anything after he just never recovered, in my opinion. Meanwhile, Clooney went on to have a great career, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's kind of strange. And
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
like, Keaton had a kind of revival, in a couple of for him. It's kind of weird
Right.
that Kilmer never really like do anything of memory for me at least. I probably have a couple movies in the 2000s that he did, and I just like, oh shit, that just completely slipped my mind. But I remember his stuff from the 90s and 80s still to this day.
Well,
So
speaking of the 2000s, they actually mentioned he was. I legit forgot this, right? He was in Red Planet. He
right,
was
yeah,
he was in
right,
he was in Alexander, which was a show that I remember
right,
watching and
yeah,
just immediately
forgettable.
forgetting.
Yeah,
But
came out
the one that I really remember from the 2000s is of course Kiss Kiss Bang Bang,
right,
with Robert Downey Jr. Right? For me,
right,
that's like his last best role, basically.
right. Anyway, yeah, okay,
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and the show just ever so often reminds you, yeah, he was in this, he was in this, he was in this, right? And they kind of explain exactly why he never really starred in any big films after Heat, right? So, the
right,
real reason, well, I would say this is one of, not the main reason, but one of the reasons basically is a show that even back in '96, I heard about how bad it was. I've always been meaning to see it for myself though, but just like a bad movie line kind of thing. The Island of Dr. Moreau happened.
yeah, yeah. I remember that was
Yes.
bad. It came and went. He just didn't work in it at all. It's one of those things that it's not famously bad. Like, you don't remember it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's the
Okay,
worst thing
I thought it
ever."
was like that. I thought it was that level
No,
bad.
like it was no, it's a bad film, but it's not like you remember it. It's not like, oh, it win a bunch of Razzies. Like nobody just don't talk about it. It just came and went, like ultimately. But it is a bad film. Mostly because I like the story. The story is a weird, cool story. So I decided to
It
check out the
is.
movie.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I decided to check out the movie. It's like, oh yeah, this movie pretty bad. However.
Right, right. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just kind of forget about it.
Even in the
Yeah.
pre-internet days, well, for me, I heard about how bad that was, right? So I
Right.
always skipped it. But yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of show into like how why that fell apart. Not too much detail, right? Because it's actually a documentary about that, right? I forgot the name
Right.
of it, right? But yeah, it shows well. The other reason is because he was difficult to work with, right? But
Right.
you could kind of understand why it's not like they defend his reasons and all that kind of stuff, but just really because he just wanted to step his game up. He wanted to just become an actor's actor, so to speak, right? So just the pretty boy who just stars in these blockbusters, right? That's what really what it was, right? But then afterwards, you just kind of see how he, well, basically, it kind of ends up with him wanted to make his own film, right? And it was actually based off of Mark Twain, right? But he had to, self finance it basically, right? So
Right.
he
Right.
was doing this one man play and all that kind of stuff, and then he got diagnosed with throat cancer, and well, the rest is history, right? Um, but yeah, this was a great documentary, though, and for me, it just showed a lot about this guy that I didn't even know about. Not just the movies that he were in, that he started, sorry, but just his life, right?
Yeah.
His kids, just these stuff that he dealt with, right? Really understanding how much he put into his performance. There's actually like a great moment involving how he just memorized every movement that Jim Morrison did from the Doors for the
Right.
film Doors itself. And that's
Yeah,
a
I
show
remember he
thing that I
was.
want to see. I really
Yeah, I
want to see
remember
that.
he was pretty good in that. Right. That I
Yeah.
was trying to remember. Yeah, he wasn't half bad in that.
Yeah. And you just see like literally like him doing it like shot for shot, literally from a video of a performance that Jim Morrison did way back in the days when he was alive, right? And it was just amazing. So yeah, the man was a legit actor, right? But you could understand like in the 90s now, what I mean, after Batman Forever, it's just like, well, I kind of don't want to be that guy who just in the summer blockbuster. I want to be a real actor, right? So you can kind of understand how disappointed he felt with Isla Dr. Moreau
Right.
standing alongside Marlon Brando of all people, right? But
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
they kind of show how I don't want to say bizarre Marlon was, but how weird he was
Yeah. No,
on
it
set though.
was.
Like
No.
Marlon
No.
was weird though. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we love him, but he kind of weird when he ready,
Yeah, yeah. The end game of it was strange. And there's there's latter part of his career as well. So it's like he was kind of getting strange and true. Yeah, there's a film that just notoriously does not work. Because the thing with Island of Dr. Moreau, it's very similar to Marlon Brando's one of his most famous roles. That is Vietnam movie,
Oh,
um
Apocalypse Now, which I
Apocalypse Now, right?
love. Yeah,
Right.
but even
That
that in
same
itself was a unique and strange performance.
right,
That
right,
Kurt's character was just
right.
so out there, but it worked. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it had that same, it's the same heart of darkness thing, now, right? It's that same, oh, we don't know what this guy is, and then you finally meet him, and blah blah blah. And I get they were trying to like, that's what it felt like when I was watching it. It's like, oh, they're just trying to get that lightning in a bottle the second time now. That's how it came across. That's why it didn't work at all because it's not something you could just up and do. And again, the filmmaking is not. You need that talent, right? So we want about we boy. He's an amazing filmmaker, and it already
Oh yeah,
you can't
John Frankenheimer, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it don't work the same way. So that's why that failed. I think that's just my kind of 2 cents about it. But
Right,
yeah,
right.
moving on about
Yeah,
this.
but
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
yeah, moving on from Dr. Burrow, right? Probably I'll watch it one day, maybe I won't, right? But yeah, you really get to see that side of what it means to be a celebrity, what it means to be the actor, right? And it may seem like, oh yeah, gosh, they human beings just like us too. But again, it's just you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and you just kind of think, oh, he just fell off or he's washed up, that
Right,
kind of stuff, right? But you just don't know. And this show, like for me, just brilliantly shows you that side that you don't want to see. And it's not because like we ourselves want to seek out what really will happen, but some of this stuff is just personal. It's just stuff that the person himself doesn't want you to know, right? But because of where he is in his life now, right now, it's just like, well, yeah, we people just kind of need to know what I went through. Some of it is, rather heartbreaking. A few moments were really just tough to watch, though, and not like they were disturbing. It's just like wow, boy, like this is just depressing me so much. Though. And yeah, for me personally, it just kind of had me like just really thinking about just the price of fame, like what it really means to be passionate about something and just go through the ups and downs, especially the downs though, and then still kind of wonder if it's all meant for you. You know what I mean? So that really struck me though, because I mean, yeah, I mean, put yourself in his shoes. You want the success. You probably would have want the success that he had, right? But you would want to go through the trials and tribulations he went through, right? Especially with that thing with the throat cancer. There's some really like powerful moments, personal moments as well too, and just a few moments that, yeah, will legit kind of make you tear up a bit, man. It really does make you feel for this guy, Trent. So, for me, yeah, this is one that I absolutely enjoyed, man. I would say it's a show that I'll watch over in a hurry because of just how emotionally rough it is, though. But it needs to be that way because, once again, it just kind of just shows you that, yeah, just when you think you know what it means to be, a celebrity, Trent, this one come and say, nah, you have no clue, Trent. So,
Yeah,
yeah, not much more I could say. I'm giving this a decent 4 to 5. I strongly recommend this, especially if you're a fan of biopics and just
right.
documentary. Sorry, not biopics. This documentaries based off of celebrities and stuff like that, right? Um, in a way, it may inspire you to pursue your dreams, though. But on the other hand, it may make you want to be a little extra careful of the decisions that you make going forward. And then, as the show just so brilliantly shows, so just the unexpectedness of life during this, you think things are going good, though, and then life just kind of just hits you, and it's just how you work your way out of it. So yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, and it's not an easy show to watch too, but it's a necessary show to watch too. And yeah, I can't recommend this enough. So by all means, check out Val.
Nice.
And last but not least, Beckett, which is a show that legit I didn't even know about until it aired, or it premiered, sorry, on
Right. So
Netflix last Friday.
here's the thing. I heard about this. I kind of skipped it. I wasn't thinking about it, and then I saw your bad ratings. So like, all right, well, moving on.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
cause right after watching this, man, I expressed my thoughts on it. I'll actually kind of repeat it in the review here, right? But like I was watching this thing and I was wondering, okay, why is the show not clicking better? And then like afterwards, when I make up my mind, I see, our good friend Summerly Polony post something up. Like she was watching it at the time, and she was, I think she said like 50 minutes in, she was just trying to come up with backstories for these characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like, okay, I'll put it like this. Like, I watched this Friday night, right? And I was legit tired. Like, I was just kind of watching this show, though. Like, I didn't go in yawning or whatnot, right? But while I was watching this show, I was just bored out of my mind. And in my head, I was wondering, well, okay, well, clearly you're tired, so maybe I just need to rewind the scene and just kind of make sure I pick up on everything that's going on, though. But nope, it was just bad and it was just dull. And that's like the first sin that this movie commit, right? Now, just a little warning, little heads up, guys. I have to get into a particular spoiler, but I'll leave that to the very end, right? So I'll just share quick thoughts, reading, and then I'll get into a spoiler, right?
Right.
So yeah, what Beckett is about, right? So it stars our boy John David Washington, right? Last time we saw him was in Malcolm and Marie, right? Which was also on Netflix, right? And basically it involved, well, he plays this American, this tourist, right? So him and his girlfriend, who is played by Alicia Vikander, didn't know she was in this too.
Right.
Yeah, so they're vacationing in Greece, in Athens actually, right? And everything is all fine, right? They in love, and they just walking, just looking at the scenery and all that kind of stuff. Everything's all good and whatnot, right? So they're supposed to be, well, so one night now they headed over to the hotel, and Beckett, so that's John's character. He falls asleep at the wheel, right? And then, well, the car goes over this cliff, and just goes over and crashes basically. And unfortunately, well, Alicia's character dies, right? So in the process of that, of like right after the crash, right? Like in the crash itself, the car actually breaks through, actually lands like through this particular house, right? That it's at the bottom of
Right.
this hill, right? So they go over the hill and then it just crashes into this house, right? And while Beckett is trying to like catch himself, right? He spots this woman and her kid, right? And when he goes to the hospital, and surprise, surprise, Alicia's character, her name was April. She dies, right? So in the
Right.
process, now he telling the police and everybody, well, yeah, I saw these two people there, right? But they were like trying to wonder way we talk about. It's like, no, I saw these two people and that's it, right? So yeah, one thing we see the other know, and it just Beckett just kind of decided, look, let me just kind of see what's going on for myself because I don't know what to make of myself, because my girlfriend died. He goes back to the same spot, right, where the car crashes, right? So while he's there now, he gets shot at, right? So these two individuals shooting at him. He wants to know why, right? I want to really see next now, and then he kind of realizes that there's this kidnapping that takes place, and it has to do with this political group. Some shenanigans is going on now, and he's kind of just roped in the middle simply because he saw those two individuals in that place, right? And it just opens up this big thing now, and he's in the middle of it, and literally everywhere he goes, he will get help ever so often, but ever so often he run into somebody who's trying to kill him because he knows too much, or maybe he just knows a little, which is too much. I don't know, but yeah, people just want to kill this guy, right? And I'll stop there, right? So, if I could just pick one good thing about this show, I would say the acting is fine. The acting is fine for the most part. John isn't really doing anything spectacular. He's still John, right? He's still childhood father. So often you can still hear Daddy. You can hear Daddy Denzel in his voice, right, and his actions, right. But he was fine. He was good, right? And he plays the whole, all right, I'm in this foreign country and I don't know what's going on. So it's not exactly a fish out of water situation. But it's like I was just here on vacation. I'm thrown into the situation here. What the hell, right? This is nothing new as far as thrillers go. We like it really does feel like something from like the 70s or 80s. We just those thrillers that just so those political thrillers, sorry, right, where you have a character who is just minding his own business and he just kind of gets roped into this shit, right? That's how this plays on, right? So he's innocent in all this, but everybody else just thinks, no, 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 you know something, and it's just him on the run basically while these people kind of hunt him down, right? So it's like that, right? Alicia Vikander, she does her thing. Boyd Holbrook, he's in this as well too. He does his thing. Even Vicky Cripps, if I got this name wrong, forgive me, right? From the show, Phantom Thread, she's in it as well too. She makes
Right.
a small appearance. I mean, everybody like acting is fine, right? I actually thought that the direction was decent as well too. The guy who did it, his name is Ferdinando Cito Flormarino. Yes, he's an Italian filmmaker. Yeah, I mean, it's competent, right? The producer is actually Guadagnino, right? If I got the city wrong again, forgive me, right? He was the guy who actually directed Call Me by Your Name. He directed
Right.
Suspiria, which I wasn't the biggest fan, which I wasn't a big fan of. But I mean, yeah, he's a great director, right? But yeah, he's a producer. He got his friend on board to direct, and he got some nice shots. I mean, this is a very well looking film, very sleek looking, cinematography great. The way how the locales look at everything, it's well made. I'll give it that, right? But where this show really, really, really stumbles and eventually falls apart, boy, is the story. And the problem is, it's just the story is just so badly paced. It is so mind-numbingly slow, boy. And like that scene that things don't happen. I mean, things do happen, but it's just like the worst moment where it's like, all right, we get the point, just move on. Okay, we get move on, right? So, like this little nitpick, but this is a pure example. You have Beckett literally repeating to people, "Oh, this is what happened. My girlfriend died. This is what happened," and just these moments that just drag on. It's like, all right,
Right.
we get to the point, but this is a thriller, right? You tell me this is a thriller. Get to the thriller part. This is the action show. Get to the action part, sir. But it's just bogged down by just all these drawn out scenes, though. And then the story itself, though, is just, I don't want to say it's cliche, right? Because again, you don't see shows like this. It's very old school, right? But you don't see shows like this, these days. Um, nothing clicked with me at all with this show. It just felt so by the
Right.
numbers, so basic, so bland. Actually, it's just like, but yeah, why should we care though? And I guess it's because of the situation that's going on, right? The political situation, if you want to call it that, right? It's just like, well, it just kind of trusts the viewer to kind of understand what's going on, but because it puts you in the shoes of this guy, though, it's just like, well, no, because just like the main character, I feel like I am just here for on a vacation, and now you're telling me about something that really is so impactful, right? Like you tell them you see it in such a way like I supposed to see it on like Al Jazeera or CNN or something like that. No. But it's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not familiar with this at all. And the show isn't making me care about this incident. It's just like, well, these guys are trying to kill John's character. I want to know why. But you keep telling me it has to do with this. But actually, this is kind of leading up to the spoiler. It doesn't. It actually doesn't have anything to do with him at all. He's just roped in the middle of it, and you're supposed to care about it because he's roped in the middle of it. But actually, you don't know. So you're just seeing characters just trying to shoot this guy. You're just like, but why do he have nothing to do with what's going on? He have
Yeah.
nothing to do with it at all. And you're trying to make me care. I just do it. And as far as it being a thriller or action film, boy, this is just so uninteresting, so bland,
Yeah.
so
Sad.
it just doesn't click at all. Nothing about this work for me. I mean, yeah, you get a couple of moments of tension, but nothing where I was like, oh my god. I mean, if character A dies or whatnot, oh my god. You know what I mean? Like no moment like that. You know Beckett gonna come out of it, you know, not so much unscathed, but you know he's gonna survive because I mean he is the main character, right? You know he's not gonna die, so to speak, right? So
Yeah.
there's like no real tension there, but the show really goes out your way to make you believe, oh my god, but dog, I mean, if he doesn't get out of the situation fast, it's just like, no, he's just in situations just because the script wants him to be in this situation. That's really what's wrong with the show. It just puts him in situations because the script needed him to be there. He's not like there because he has to be there, right? So before I jump to the spoiler now, so let me just get to the rating one time. Um, I was gonna give this a 2 out of 5 though, but because of how forgettable this show is because I saw this Friday night and I'm like legit trying to remember shit that went down in this film. And this is like 2 days after I saw this, by the way, right? So for me, this gets a 1.5 to a 2 out of 5. Right?
Wow.
This,
Okay.
yeah, this was just so because that's just how forgettable it all was, though. Like, is that bad? Like, it's not bad. It says like, wow, I just remember how much this thing got me angry and whatnot. It was just a slog to sit through. I legit was just nodding, nodding on myself while I was watching this. I just could not get into this movie at all, but it was just so uninteresting and bland and boring, and there was legit no need for it to be that way, man, in my opinion. So, yeah, nothing about this click with me. I probably wouldn't remember this by year's end, but expect this to show up on my worst stuff for sure, man, because just how much of a disappointment this. I can't even call this a disappointment. I can't even go with expectations at all, but just at how forgettable and just how bad it was, man. So that's it as far as non spoilers go. So now to get to the spoiler, right? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, so you would think, right? So a movie like this, right? You would think that the whole idea of him with the accident there, you would think that would be the reason why all these things happen and all these things, why things kind of fall apart there. But because and it's because he did it, right? He was the one behind the wheel. He was the one who was sleeping on himself. He caused the crash. So because of him, his girlfriend died. But that in itself is how to say. Let me see if I could explain without rambling. Right? He did the crime, right?
Right.
And the show ever so often reminds you that he did all this, right? But all these other things that surrounded him, the whole kidnapping stuff, the political stuff, this is right wing, left wing stuff going on, all this drama stuff,
Right. Go ahead.
have
Yeah. All of
absolutely
this occur.
nothing to do with him, you know.
So all of this occurring in Greece or something like that. Where it is?
It is, yeah, in
Right. Right.
Greece, yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It have absolutely nothing to do with him, you know. And
Okay.
even though the show goes, the show, I'll give credit, will kind of show you how Beckett feels about all this, right? How he feels about, him dropping the ball as far as with, his girlfriend, all that kind of stuff, right? They will ever so often kind of remind you of how bad he feels about that kind
Right.
of stuff, right? But still, everything else around it have nothing to do with him. It's just because he crashes into this one house where these two individuals were. So the individuals were, spoiler, it's the kidnapped person, right? And the mother
Right.
of the kidnapped person, right? That's it. So he just so happens to see these people because of him sleeping behind the wheel and the crash and his girlfriend's death. Just out of coincidence, he just sees these people, right? And it's like he goes out to help them or anything like that. Cause he's stuck in the car. So as he come out, obviously you're gonna go to your girlfriend. Your girlfriend dead, right? So okay, cool, cool, cool. But because you tell this policeman about this now, he's like, oh well, all right, he knows too much, so let's shoot at him. Cause yeah, literally the next day when he goes now to investigate what's going on now is the same time when this guy and this other police officer in the same place does. Like, oh shit, he's there. Let me just fire at him. Then boom. So again, it's just these coincidental things that, when you really think about it, just don't make any sense, Dre. Like
Right.
him being there and these cops being there at the exact same time, and you say, "Oh, he's there. All right, let's try to kill him," and them continually trying to kill him. There's a moment where he goes to the U.S. embassy and then he mentions about what's going on there, and then the guy who like you think you're gonna help about suddenly wants to kill him too because he knows too much, right? And that's just because he runs into these two political activists, one of which is played by Vicky, right? Vicky Cripps, if I got the name wrong, forgive me, right? And because they tell him certain things now, he go and tell the guy in the U.S. embassy the same thing now. And because he told him now, it's like, okay, well, you know too much. Now I have to kill him. I have to kill you now. So it's always about Beckett finding out things and then telling other people things. And because he told the other person now, the other person wants to kill him because he knows too much.
Right.
Like that is
Right.
just some sloppy ass writing, Jay. Like you just wanted to have a reason to have this American being involved in this political conspiracy, whatever it is,
Right.
Jay.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I no.
But the
Here's the thing with this.
framing is
It's sounding.
bad though. His
Yeah.
framing
It's
is
sounding
just so
like
bad.
yeah. It's sounding like a interesting idea of an experiment that just goes wrong, like like conceptually, you know. Because I like ideas like that where it's just a kind of it looking like a kind of attempted to be this kind of side story, and you think it means something, but it don't mean anything, and it's more like happenstance, and it makes it like you know the right man in the wrong place kind of thing. No, you know he blew up on a big weird conspiracy by him not being in the right place. Like I
Right,
can
which is
see
fine. I understand that,
right,
but
right,
you're framing it in such a way that it all begins because you slept behind the wheel and you accidentally kill your girlfriend. Like, if
right,
it was just like you just happened to stumble on something and oh, I don't know, maybe your girlfriend get kidnapped or murdered or some kind of thing. So I don't understand. And the point I get at is that it's not personal to him. He's
right,
just in the middle of all this trying to deal with his girlfriend's death, but he's not personally invested in all the stuff around him. But the movie wants you to be. But it's like, no, more is just about how he's dealing with his girlfriend said, but no, the movie constantly wants you to buy into, well, no, but these guys are trying to kill him because he heard or saw something. It's like, no, like, come on, man. But yeah, go on.
okay. Yeah, no, yeah, I see it to myself. I'll look like I'll give it a chance now because it's like, all right, I want to see how this film fails because it sounds like it's a fascinating failure. In
It
terms of the
is when you
script.
think about it, because
Right.
when you think
Okay.
about it, like, because of the story itself, because of the scope of it now, it sounds like it should not feel like on paper it should work, but it's
Right.
just the execution, boy. Because yeah, it's just slow and just bland. You know what I mean? So the joke that I made on Facebook is like, if the protagonist from Tenet used the passive device from Inception, I pretty much woke up in a bad movie. That's the
Right.
best way
Right.
I could
Yeah.
sum up this movie. Because like Tenet, it's just like a character kind of realizing, oh, this is much bigger than I expect, right? But like Inception is like, well, I'm kind of waking up into something and trying to make sense of things, so to speak, right? And that's really
Right.
what it is, though. But just the execution, by was just bad, by so yeah, I mean, I don't think people will dump on this show as much as I did, or I imagine some of did, but it's just I don't know, like when you hear action thriller, when you see the cast involved, when the premise is kind of intriguing enough, doing you're watching this thing and you're checking your time and you're
Right.
drifting in and out of sleep and you're just
Yeah, there's a
wondering why
problem.
scenes running so slow, it's just a
Yeah.
problem. It's just a bad problem. And then also, and then when you really think about it, it's just bad writing. I can't. It's not. Oh well, bad writing is the reason why it had me sleeping. It's just it's just the conceit of it all. You know, you did this, but it just so happens in you doing this, you get roped into something that don't even involve you, and people killing you because trying to kill you because you just find out something. It's just like no,
Right. Right.
like come on, you know what I mean? So yeah,
This based
if
on
you
a book
if
or
you do
anything?
want to see it, if you do want to see it. I would say just have like a Red Bull or a cup of coffee with you
Right.
or
No,
something.
but
I
is
don't
this
expect nothing out of this, in my opinion.
is this based on a book? So
Um,
it's sounding like they fuck up a book.
it actually is not based off of a book though. I don't think it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
But I would, you would think that it is based off of a book though, because of the
Right.
premise alone and this
Right.
how things play out. But like, no, not to my knowledge, right? I would give one last, positive to. This is my last positive, not really much. I thought that they actually have like a couple songs performed by Blood Orange, right?
Right.
This actually is an artist that I've been familiar with for a few years though. As far as just like alternative R&B music goes, great music. He actually has like some great albums on his belt. If you've like Negro Swan, for example, from 2018, definitely
Right.
check
Right.
that out. That's a great album. But yeah, I mean, he put in a couple of dope songs. Me to open. Well, actually, I think it's the same song that opens and closes the film, right? So that's another positive I could give this. But other than that, though, given the talent, given the cast, given what they're going for, boy, there was no reason for the show to be this mind-numbingly dull and just so consequential in such a way where, like, but really and truly, if if he did not if he didn't like crash that car, though, he wouldn't be in this trend. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't be
Right.
roped
Yeah.
up in all this trend. So I mean, I talked long enough about it. This is a waste. I mean, if you really do want to see it, and I guess if you're a John David Washington fan, give it a look. But
Right.
other than that, do I just recommend having something to keep your eyes open, like coffee or a Red Bull or something. Other than that, though, this shit is like NyQuil, but this will put you to sleep like as soon as.
Okay. Okay. I actually want to give this a chance now because just to see how it feels. But yeah. Let me see how it
I'd
goes.
actually like to hear your thoughts on it.
All
Take
right.
your
No
time with
problem.
it. Though. Like you could, like if you do see it, like if you get around to see it, you can let me know. But you don't have to watch it for the next episode. But I would like to hear your thoughts on it.
I had to find the time. Cause right now I just horrible with my time management. For the last couple of months, to be honest, it's mostly because it's book. But yeah. All right. I'll see.
Right, right.
Yeah.